Tonight, when the sun goes down, you're going to flip a switch. Light will flood the room. You won't think twice about it. But here's a question that should stop you cold. What did your ancestors do with the night for 300,000 years before that switch existed? Did they just sit in the dark? Did they sleep the entire time? And what if the way you sleep right now, one solid block, lights out, alarm on, is actually the most unnatural thing a human being can do? When the sun set in the ancient world, the world didn't dim. It disappeared. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And the things that could see you, leopards, hyenas, cave lions, were just getting started. So what happened after dark? The answer changes everything we think we know about sleep, storytelling, and what it means to be human. Let's start with fire. The earliest solid evidence of humans controlling fire comes from Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, roughly 1 million years ago. But fire didn't just keep people warm. It completely restructured the human day. Before fire, our ancestors behaved like every other primate. When the sun went down, you found a sheltered spot and stayed completely still. Moving at night meant becoming food. Our eyes are terrible in the dark compared to the predators that hunted us. Leopards and hyenas could see just fine. We could not. Fire changed that equation overnight, literally. A campfire creates a circle of safety roughly 30 feet in diameter. Inside that circle, predators will not enter. Outside that circle, the night belongs to them. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented that people who wander away from the fire after dark are significantly more likely to be killed, even today. But here's what's fascinating. Fire didn't just protect humans at night. It gave them something they had never had before: extra hours. Before fire, the useful day ended at sunset. 8 hours in winter, maybe 12 in summer. Fire suddenly added 2 to 4 usable hours to every single day. And over thousands of generations, those extra hours changed our species in ways we are still living inside of. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiessner published a landmark study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. She spent years recording conversations among the Jew/Wanzi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth still living something close to the original human lifestyle. What she found was this. During the day, roughly 80% of conversations were practical. Who's hunting where? Which plants are ready? Logistics, negotiations, complaints. Daytime talk was work. But at night, around the fire, the entire character of conversation shifted. 81% of nighttime conversations were stories. Tales of people in distant places, adventures, myths about the origins of the world, jokes that made the whole camp laugh. Wiessner argued that firelight conversation is where human culture was born. The campfire was the original theater, the original classroom, the original place of worship. It's where humans learned to think beyond the immediate moment, to imagine things that don't exist yet, to transmit knowledge across generations without writing a single word. It's where we became us. But there's something else that happened in those nighttime hours. Something scientists only rediscovered in the last 30 years, and it involves the way you sleep. You were not designed to sleep the way you sleep right now. In 2001, historian Roger Kirch published research that shook the field of sleep science. He had spent 16 years digging through historical records, prayer books from the 1400s, court records, diaries, medical texts, letters from ordinary people, passages in Homer's Odyssey. And he found over 500 references across centuries and cultures to the same phenomenon: first sleep and second sleep. Before the industrial age, people did not sleep in one continuous block. They went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for roughly 4 hours, then woke up. They stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night, a period they called the watch. Then they went back to sleep for another 4 hours until dawn. This wasn't insomnia. This was normal. This was how every human on the planet slept for most of our existence. And what did they do during the watch? Everything. People visited neighbors. They interpreted their dreams while still fresh. They wrote. They prayed. They simply lay in the dark and thought. A doctor's manual from the 1500s advised that the best time to study and reflect was during the watch, when the mind was calm and the world was completely still. Then science confirmed what history had been saying all along. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas Wehr at the National Institute of Mental Health ran a simple but extraordinary experiment. He removed all artificial light from a group of volunteers' lives. For 1 month, they experienced 14 hours of darkness every night, the way our ancestors would have before fire extended the evening. Within weeks, every single participant settled into the same pattern. 4 hours of sleep, 1 to 3 hours of quiet wakefulness, then 4 more hours of sleep. Nobody told them to do this. Their bodies just did it, as if some ancient program had been waiting inside them the whole time, buried under centuries of electric light. Wehr then measured their hormone levels during the wakeful period. What he found was remarkable. The participants were in a state unlike any normal waking state. Their brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin, the same hormone released during deep meditation. They described feeling peaceful, reflective, almost dissolved into the quiet. It wasn't just a gap in sleep. It was its own distinct state of human consciousness, one that most people alive today have never experienced. So what ended it? Light. The answer is simply light. In the 1600s, cities began installing street lamps. Cheaper candles followed. Then gas lamps in the 1800s. Then, in 1879, Thomas Edison commercialized the electric light bulb. And within a generation, the night as humans had known it for 300,000 years was gone. The word curfew comes from the French couvre-feu. It literally means cover fire. In medieval towns, a bell would ring at night signaling everyone to cover or extinguish their fires. Not for safety, because night was supposed to be dark. Night was when you were vulnerable. Night belonged to the sleeping and, according to the people of the time, to things that lived outside the firelight. Then we flooded it with light, and we called that progress. But here is what we lost. Modern humans are exposed to artificial light an average of 7 to 8 hours after sunset. That light, especially blue light from screens, suppresses melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. Your brain does not know the difference between a light bulb and the sun. When light hits your retina at 11 p.m., your body interprets it as daytime. It delays sleep. It fragments your rest. It disrupts a circadian rhythm that evolved over millions of years. Researchers have found that just 1 week of camping with no artificial light resets the melatonin cycle by nearly 2 hours. That's all it takes. 1 week for 300,000 years of ancient programming to reassert itself. We didn't just change when we sleep. We eliminated an entire phase of human consciousness. That quiet, reflective state between first and second sleep, the state where subjects described as peaceful and meditative, simply doesn't exist anymore for most people. Instead, we have insomnia, and we treat it like a disorder. But what if waking up at 2 a.m. and lying there in the dark isn't your body malfunctioning? What if it's your body remembering what it was built to do? For 300,000 years, your ancestors spent their nights in a rhythm that modern science is only beginning to understand. They gathered around fires and told the stories that built civilizations. They slept in 2 phases with a window of reflection in between. They lived in a darkness so complete that the Milky Way wasn't something you drove to a national park to see. It was just the sky. And every night, in that quiet space between first and second sleep, they lay still in the dark and thought about their lives, their dreams, the world they would wake up to in the morning. We traded all of that for a light switch. Tonight, when you flip it on, you'll know what you're turning off.